films even after losing a box. After a 5-mile walk around town, I never smell your socks. You hid movies from your folks and your mom hid them from your grandma. And a lot of the time that we hang out, you record it with your camera. Always have the strength to forgive when I hit you in the eye. You eat Chinese ramen, nachos, fish, even pizza pie. Standing tall with curly hair, leather jacket wrapped. Oh look, here he comes, the Million Film Almanac. Bobbly, 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 bellissimo. Bobbly, 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 bellissimo. Bobbly, bellissimo. Bobbly, bellissimo.
Hi, and welcome to Terribly Fun Films. Today, we're finishing off our annual Casper Van Dien month with a look at James Dean, Race with Destiny, aka James Dean, Live Fast, Die Young. I don't know which title came first, but the DVD copy I have says Race with Destiny, so that's the title I'm going with. There have been several documentaries, books, shows, and that sort of thing about James Dean. So, does this one stand out at all? Does it have any merit to it? Let's find out as I discuss James Dean, Race with Destiny. It chronicles the film life of James Dean, starting when he got his first role in East of Eden, into him filming From Without a Cause, through Giant, through his untimely death, and the romance that spurred everything while he was in Hollywood. While on the Warner Brothers studio, James Dean meets Pier Angli and instantly falls head over heels for her, as does she him. After being introduced to Pier Angli's mom, the mom decides she doesn't like Dean very much and contrives ways of keeping them apart, and this is all the while he's making his various films that he will be known for and becomes a fairly well-known race car driver. The movie comes from us from Mohammed Rustam, who directed the film as Marty Rustam. This was the last movie he directed and produced, happening in 1987. But his directorial filmography is very tiny, with only 2 other titles. One in the 70s and one in the 80s, and this was made in 1987. I don't know why he only directed 3 movies. The directing here is pretty good. Occasionally some of the green screen is a bit shoddy. I'm not sure if that's just due to age or what there. And it can be a bit frustrating with how the voiceover from Angli herself, who's sort of telling her life with James Dean, and is meant to be the one going through this story with us, comes and goes for very long stretches of time. But period piece looks pretty good. The costumes are nice, and the movie moves very, very well. It has a nice rhythm to it. And the escalation in terms of how desperate James Dean is getting is also very well handled. And a lot of that has to do with the cinematography and the lighting. There were 2 cinematographers here, Irv Goodenough and Gary Graver. The cinematography here is very strong. There's a sequence where Mama Angli, played by Diane Ladd, I don't think I mentioned that earlier, is intentionally withholding the fact that James Dean is calling from New York on a daily, if not multiple times a day basis, trying to reach Pier, and she doesn't tell Pier ever. She just lets it go. And the rain's coming down and there's shadows covering her face. It's just a few bits of light so we can see the rain streaks going down the window go across her face as well. And that highlights the sort of emotional manipulation that that character does for the entire movie. Now, mind you, I don't know the true story well enough to state if that was made up for the movie or if that's what actually happened or anything like that. So I'm not here to judge it versus reality and just judge it as a movie. Some of that is due to the really strong writing for the characters as well. But I can't find anything about who wrote the movie. So if you know something I don't, please let me know in the comments below. But the writing is fairly strong. It has a great sense of who James Dean is, even if it does occasionally fall prey to sort of idolizing him in a way that he is idolized now and not necessarily then. It's always on his side. It does not have a clear perspective in that regard. And the sequence at the end is very foreshadowing of events we know are about to happen, but the characters have no idea what's about to happen, and that kind of thing bumps me a lot. Obviously, for the most part, it gets the characters right. They're all interesting. They all have different needs and wants, and no two people feel the same, and that's really good. The other reason this looks so good is the editing by Richard S. Brummer is also very good. There's some great parallel editing between the things James Dean is doing on a film set versus the things Angeli is doing while being wooed by a particular person, or her mom is setting up with somebody, or just parallel shots between movies he's making and what he's doing with Pier on a date. And that works really, really well. It is sort of fun to see those locations pop up in his real life, because they did film in actual locations throughout whatever cities they were, New York, Texas, Los Angeles, that kind of thing. And that works fairly well too. Casper Van Dien has stated in a Q&A I was looking at to see a few years ago that he felt very honored again to portray James Dean, and I think that comes across rather nicely. He is the single strongest aspect of the movie. I would have to sit down and watch every single one of his films, but this is definitely, just off the top of my head, one of his strongest, most engaging performances, bar none. The sort of unpredictability that James Dean holds, which made him such an interesting person to watch on screen, is alive and well in Casper Van Dien as James Dean. And he brings that same intensity and unpredictability to the real life side of James Dean, not just when he's on film set. And that makes for a very interesting watch. You feel for the character, even when the character is being insane. Just controlling and argumentative for no reason. You always, most of the time at least, are on his side and you empathize with him and you want to see him succeed. Angeli is played by Carrie Mitchum, who was also in Lethal Orbit with Casper Van Dien. And she's only okay here. She is portraying a real life person, and in trying to get that person's voice and cadence right, she has a somewhat exaggerated accent that doesn't sound right coming from her mouth. You look at this person, how Carrie Mitchum looks in the movie and how she sounds, there's a disconnect there, and I'm not sure if it's the direction she was given, if it is just she couldn't handle that accent, if it's the writing for the characters. I'm not sure there, but it's weird. As such, only certain scenes with her really work. And this does hamper the drama of the movie a little bit because it is very much about her and James Dean. Again, she's narrating the movie kind of sort of. The sequences that work are usually where she's being more reactive to things. She finds out her mom lied to her or her mom forbids her from doing something and she reacts. Sudden outbursts of emotion, be them good or bad emotion, really suits her. It's a little bit of dialogue, it's a lot of body language, a lot of facial looks. She does those very well. But in the heavier dialogue scenes, because the accent just isn't working, I had a really hard time buying into any of that. Playing Mama Pier Angli is Diane Ladd. And Diane Ladd is really good. Also has an accent a little bit, but it doesn't come across as forced or as fake as it does with Carrie Mitchum here. So the mom actually is a very intimidating figure who starts off sweet and kind of fun, and as the movie goes on, her manipulations become more and more, worse and worse, to where the audience is rooting against her. And that is, again, solid character writing. It's also due to the actress and just the level of commitment she had to be able to go down that darker path for the character and keep it going for most of the film. Playing Jack Warner, the head of Warner Studios at the time, is Mike Connors, and he does a really good job. Based on the few things I've read about the early days of Hollywood and being founded as a film haven and all this stuff, it seems like he did a good job there, but outside of historical accuracy, he does an excellent job of being both very grateful for the immense talent and money that James Dean's two movies up to a certain point have made for him, and how much people are wanting James Dean, and just being at the end of his rope for the way the character disregards basically everything, including his own safety and other people's own safety. And I think he mixes that fairly well. Screen legend Robert Mitchum plays George Stevens, one of the people who sort of helped corral Jack Warner into keeping James Dean at the studio. And it's freaking Robert Mitchum. It's Night of the Hunter, Out of the Past. It's Robert Mitchum. Like, he can't be bad. He's really good and fun here. Now, finally, Casey Kasem has a small role as Bill Romano, and it's a fairly fun thing to see him in a full-on acting role that isn't a voice acting gig. He's fine in the role. It's not a large role at all, but it is kind of fun to see him in that regard. So overall, James Dean, Race with Destiny, is mostly very good. It has an excellent cast for the most part, has solid directing for the most part, and it has really strong writing for the most part. So yeah, if you're a James Dean fan, if you're a Casper Van Dien fan, or if you just kind of like movies about the golden age of Hollywood, check this out. As always, I've been your host, Bobby. Thank you for watching, and this does conclude our Casper Van Dien New Year. I really do need to work on a better title for that, don't I? Because I don't know, I got nothing. So I'll see you in February with a regular, terribly fun film.